Welcome to Heat Dome Wednesday in Ohio. I'm recording this at about 7:30, 7:45 a.m. and it's already approaching 80 very humid degrees here in Northeast Ohio. And to compound matters, I just got done doing some high intensity intervals on my bike. So if you see me wiping my face occasionally with this, you will know why. I've gone from the frying pan into the fire, so to speak. Part of me really wanted to make this video, and part of me didn't want to make this video. The reason I wanted to make it was because I had a feeling there were a lot of people out there my age, I'm 59, who have experienced a similar situation. The reason I didn't want to make the video is because it's taking me back to a pretty uncomfortable, pivotal time in my life, right around 54, 55 years old, where I had to confront some things and do some self-examination about where I was in my life. For most of my adult life, as I'm sure many of you can relate, I've been surrounded by people. When I was married, of course, my wife, my two young kids, there was always activity. There was always something going on. It was always a high-paced, loud environment. Not long after I got divorced, I got involved in another long-term relationship where a woman and her young daughter at the time moved in with me. So there was only a very small period of time between the time I got divorced and the time where I got involved in this next relationship where I was by myself. I don't even really remember much about that period at all. In fact, the reason I don't remember much about that period is because I was really immersed in owning and operating two businesses at the time. So I don't really remember much about that period in between my divorce and meeting this other woman and getting involved in this other relationship. So again, more activity, my girlfriend living with me, her daughter living with me. I also had my two kids. There was always something going on. That relationship ended in 2020. My girlfriend and her daughter moved out of the house. My son was getting ready to go to boot camp for the Navy, and I was spending time with him, getting him physically ready for boot camp. And he left in May of 2020. So there was a period of time there where I was unable to talk with him. If any of you have family members who are in the military, you know, in boot camp, you can't have any communication with them. All you can do is write letters back and forth. So I was unable to talk with him or hear his voice while he was at boot camp. In 2021, my daughter graduated from high school, and then she left for college. And this was the period of time for me where I was really shaken. I was really rattled. I remember moving my daughter. Her school was about 3 hours from where we live. And I remember moving her into her dorm room, and it started to hit me that she was going to be leaving on the drive down. And we moved her into her dorm room, and on the drive back, I was feeling okay. Everything hit me when I got into my house. I remember coming back into the house, walking upstairs past my son's bedroom, which had been empty for a while now, and now walking past my daughter's bedroom, and her bedroom was going to be empty. I don't know how many of you can relate to this. I'm sure there are a number of you who can. My heart sunk. Something in me was just completely shaken and completely disoriented. I think disoriented is probably the best word. I was all of a sudden hit with the reality that I'm alone. There are no more wives in the house. There are no more girlfriends in the house. There are no more kids in the house. There are no pets in the house. I am completely by myself. I am completely alone, and I didn't know how to handle that. One of the reasons I have a hard time, or I had a hard time, I should say, dealing with quiet is because I've dealt with tinnitus for the past 8 years. I don't know if any of you are familiar with tinnitus, but tinnitus is a condition where there's a persistent, nonstop ringing in your ears. And I've been dealing with that for a little over 8 years. Quiet can sometimes really get to me and amplify that ringing. And in fact, in the past, it has triggered panic attacks, which I am naturally prone to panic attacks. My mother has had them, my brother has had them, depression, mental illness, that all runs in my family. Total quiet can really unnerve me. I don't even like thinking about it because it's really unsettling. Again, this was 5 years ago, but at that point, I did not know what to do with myself. I was scared. I was disoriented. I didn't know what to do. The only thing I had going for me at the time was I was working full time, and I was working out of my home as well. I've been working out of my house for a very long time, actually. So by working from home by myself, I was by myself all day, all night. And I had to figure out how I was going to handle this. Not being able to interact with my son, not being able to talk to my daughter. Of course, I could text my daughter, I could call her, but I wanted to give her space. She was away at college now. I didn't want to be bothering her. So I had to learn to be alone. And it took me a long time. I think to a degree, I'm still learning how to be by myself. And again, I think the reason I wanted to make this video is because I know there are other people out there who were and are in the same environment or the same situation as I was and still am. If you are, leave me a comment. Let me know if you can relate. Let me know if that moment hit you where you realized that you were completely by yourself. Let me know how you handled that. Because honestly, I'm still learning how to handle that. I'm much more comfortable now being by myself. And I think it's like anything else. Over the course of time, you just learn to accept your situation. You learn to deal with your situation. What I did as time went on, I started viewing being alone as an opportunity. And that was a big hump for me to get over. For the longest time, I would dwell on being alone and I would start feeling sorry for myself until I started being able to shift that mindset into, okay, this is an opportunity. You have the next phase of your life. At that time, I was 54, 55. You have so many more years. This is now an opportunity for you to do some things that you haven't been able to do. Camping, hiking, just going on walks, being outdoors. I really used that as a pivotal point to pursue some other things that I wanted to do. Again, leave me a comment if you've ever been in that situation, because when I walked back into my house after dropping my daughter off at school, I'd have to say that was honestly one of the worst times of my life. But again, as time goes on, you learn to accept your surroundings and accept your realities. The one thing that really has helped me through all of my down periods in my life is having a daily routine. I wrote a book called Mind, Body, and Money about the importance of having a daily routine. The book is really about gaining more control over your everyday life. And for me, that's having a daily routine. You can check the book out at the link below. In the book, I give you a simple daily routine. It takes less than an hour a day to address your mental, your physical, and financial health. 3 areas I have had to focus on for the last 20 to 25 years of my life. And I know those are 3 areas that really can affect how you feel about yourself, your physical health, your mental health, and your emotional health. So you can check the book out at the link below. You can also sign up for free. I have a weekly newsletter called Mind, Body, and Money Monday, where I give you 3 very easy to implement, very actionable tips to address your mental, your physical, and your financial health. I like to think of that newsletter as the newsletter that I wanted to read. Like you, I get a ton of emails. I end up deleting 90% of them. I like emails that are to the point and that I can get through very quickly and take something valuable out of. And that's why I created Mind, Body, and Money Monday, to hit 3 points every week to help you with your physical, your mental, and your financial health. So you can check it out at the link below. Getting back to the situation that I deal with the tinnitus, I know tinnitus can affect people in their middle ages, 40s and 50s. If any of you are dealing with tinnitus, leave me a comment below. Let me know if you'd like me to make a separate video about how I have dealt with tinnitus over the last 8 years. I'd be happy to make that. In fact, it'll probably be kind of therapeutic for me to make that video. If you got something out of this video, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. I've geared the content of Next Phase Freedom to those of us who are in our mid-50s, those of us who are in midlife. I am soon going to be approaching my 60s, and I'm sure a lot of things are going to be changing. I've geared the content of my channel specifically for us, for people who are in their 50s and 60s. So please consider liking and subscribing. I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to watch. And again, please leave me a comment if you have dealt with being alone and changes in your life, significant changes in your life, where you've had to really work on yourself and deal with situations where you're going to have to change some things in your life, where you're going to have to move on from some things. Thanks again for watching, and until next time.